Welcome to this meeting. Before we start, let me introduce myself to those who doesn't know me, but I think you all know me. My name is Taba Mokwena. I am the campaign manager in the province. So before we start, I'm going to ask everybody to stand up and ask Tate Hettin to open with a prayer for us. Then we can start.
Lord, we pray for South Africa, we pray for Action SA, we pray for this beautiful country, Lord, that we can do changes here for the future, for our families, our elderly and our children. We just want to thank you for this get together, Lord, and this meeting, and we ask your blessing upon it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tate. I'm going to do a quick introduction, then give over to our visitors. We have our national chairperson, Tate Michael Beaumont, is amongst us here. I think you all know Mr. Michael is always on TV and saying and we have our national director of operation, Tate John Moody. I think you also all know him. Yes. Tate Michael and Tate John, we have a Free State here. We are in Parys, in Mwate municipality. We have representatives from Mwate who are here, led by Tate Andre Veselo. And then we have a representation again from Ukaka, led by our regional chairperson, Tate Leonard Mafokosi. We also have a representation from Mafube municipality, Tate Joseph Mfuti, who's with us here, and also from Metimaholo. We have Tate Serame Mufuki, who's the chairperson in Metimaholo. So without any waste of the time, I'd like to give to Tate Andre or Tate Leonard to
It's a great honor to be this morning to welcome our visitors. It's a great honor for me to welcome our visitors here. Our national chairperson, Mr. Michael Beaumont, and our national director of operations, Mr. John Moody. You are very much welcome to our region. This is Fezile Dabi district. And we definitely want to welcome you, even though posthumously, in the sense that you visit us after the aftermath of the gruesome grinding that we went through in elections, which left some of us still licking our wounds. We really feel battered, and I want to indicate from the onset that we really don't feel proud about our performance in Fezile Derby. And then I'm sure you will be in position to understand our situation as we are going to present to you some of the contributory factors to our poor performance. And notwithstanding the fact that we know and we acknowledge that much was not done from our side to ensure that everything works to our advantage. Just to give you a brief overview in my introductory presentation, I want to indicate that our results are actually arranged information for Fezile Derby only, but for the Free State as a whole, our performance was really not very well. Mafube, in this NPE, we had only 132 votes, which constituted 0.80% of all the voters that we have. And for Mokaka, we have 204 voters, which constitute 0.47. And for Metimaholo, we've got 250, which constitutes 0.51. And for Mwate, it's 454, which constitutes 1.21. I don't have to repeat the fact that really that was a very poor performance. And we've got a lot of contributory factors to that. But I thought having welcomed you and given you the overview of our situation here, maybe I should hand over to you to lead out in the deliberations, because I don't know what will be your approach to this meeting, whether you want us to present and give our views, or maybe you want to address us first and maybe you should come and give information at a later stage. That will depend entirely on how you have planned to have this meeting, since we are actually attending your meeting, as you had once requested that we should have the meeting. So I think I'll hand over to you and then you'll give us direction. Thank you very much.
Ek gaan Afrikaans praat. Anders gaan ek spreek onder die woord. Daar's 'n ontsettende effort van wat is ek in die wit gebied het ons 5% van die stemme gekry. Dan oor die hele gebied in Guate het ons 1,7% van die stemme gekry. Dis by verre die beste in. Maar as 'n mens kyk die effort wat ek met my span ingesit het, dan was die resultate soos in glad nie daar nie. Ons het byvoorbeeld in koppies het ek en my span 30% van die stemme verwag. En weet die hoeveelheid mense as ons daar aangekom het, wat na ons toe gestroom het. Julle kan die video's gaan kyk, nee. En die resultaat het glad nie by mekaar uitgekom. Vredefort was van die begin af, het ons geweet. Ons plakate is afgehaal en ons het geen hulp gekry van die polisie nie. Ons het nie hulp gekry van die gemeenskap nie. Ons het geweet daar gaan niks kom nie. Ek dink ons het 12 stemme gekry in die hele Vredefort. In Parys, ons het 'n sterk span gehad. Maar die hele span is uit mekaar gespan. Na die swak opkomst en die swak resultate wat ons gekry het. Ons gaan in ons het nou Ward 27 wat die ward verteenwoordiger is oorlede 2 maande gelede en ons wil hom contest die ward oor 2 maande. Ons het besluit dat Bongane gaan die ward ons gesig daar wees. Maar ons het geen idee en ons kyk na die bestuur om leiding te gee. Ons het geen idee hoe om voor te gaan, om 'n impak te maak. Want ons het 'n helse effort gemaak en geen resultaat gekry. Ja, dis maar van Guate se kant af. Ek weet nie of enigiemand iets wil bysê, maar dis maar van Guate se kant af.
Well, thank you very much, and let me start by saying how good it is to be here with you in the Free State. We have started a tour of all 9 provinces after these elections, and for what it's worth, I was in your province during the election. I just didn't have the good fortune of being here. But I was inspecting the sewage crises across your province, and it was the most unbelievable experience. And I'll come back to that in a moment, because I think in many ways that shows us where we need to go ahead of a local government election. But, the reason why we are embarking on this tour across the 9 provinces, and I hope you'll forgive me speaking English, by the way. There's a funny story behind that. I grew up in Durban, where there's very little Afrikaans. And I said, I'm not going to study Afrikaans in school, I'm going to study Zulu, because people in KZN speak Zulu. I said, I'm not going to need Afrikaans. And now I've married an Afrikaans-speaking woman from Heidelberg, and I'm having to learn Afrikaans very quickly. So you can have a laugh at my expense here. Okay. But, the truth about it is that this election result was very disappointing for everyone. And I want you, if you don't mind, to be able to say it and to be able to let it out. Because as leaders, there's an incredible disappointment when you don't get the election result you were looking for. And it's difficult when you're a leader because you need to be strong for other people. But you're also hurting. I want to tell you, I share that hurt with you, and I share it in a personal way. I mean, it's not just the fact that I'm the chairman of the party and I co-founded it with him. I'm a branch chairperson as well. The ward I live in, I'm the branch chair. And we got 25% of the vote in that ward in 2021. And we worked hard in that ward. John will tell you, we worked very hard. My wife was doing the count, and she sent me a WhatsApp at 4 o'clock the next morning when they'd finished the count to say that we got 7%. And you know, there's a pain that you experience when you don't get what you deserve. And I think every one of us needs to recognize that and deal with that, because that pain is very difficult to live with. But at the same day as the chairman, I have to be on TV talking to people about why this was not a bad result. You know, so you don't have the time to feel sorry for yourself. And we've got structures who need our leadership. So let me just start by recognizing that. And let me also start by thanking all of you, because we didn't get the result we deserved, and we deserved a better result because we worked hard. And the reason why we achieved that hard work was because of all of you. So part of why we are touring the country, yes, is to understand why this result did not go well, to see how we can make it go better in the future. But it would be a mistake not to start off by thanking every one of you and recognizing how much of your work went into this election. And I want to tell you one thing that I know to be true, based on the fact that this was my 8th election campaign that I've run now, is that you don't always get the results of your work in the election where you are campaigning. And I want to give you an example. A lot of voters went to the polls and they voted for another political party, whether it was the ANC or the DA or MK or Freedom Front or whatever it may be. But they like Action SA. Action SA is their second favorite political party. And the reason why they like Action SA is because of all the work that you've put in there. And I don't think it's the case that we're going to necessarily walk in and do it in the first election. But I think in the second election, we'll capture a lot more of those people. And in the third election and so on. Because at the end of the day, if you look at what Action SA represents, and you look at the position we have in South African politics, it's an important position. We can't give up. We can't afford to. And a huge part of how we need to deal with our personal pain is by recognizing that South Africa needs us to. We're heading towards a local government election where, if we're very honest with ourselves, the biggest crisis facing South Africa is not what's going on in national government right now. You know, we sit there looking about whether this one's going to be a cabinet member and this one, but our streets are filled with sewage. And that's our municipalities. And that's why we need to understand that the 2026 local government election is a huge opportunity for us to get it right. And the scary thing is just 2 years away. That's scary. And it's scary because I haven't recovered from the last election. So talk about the next election. I tell you, I'm not ready for it, but we have to be, because it's here in 2 years' time. So, you know, as I said, this obviously wasn't the result we were looking for, and it was across the province, across the country. So it's not you in the Free State let us down. We didn't achieve the result everywhere in the country. So our Senate has initiated this review, the purpose of which is to come and engage, to listen to you, and to understand how we can take this party forward in the Free State and to be more effective in that particular regard. We must also appreciate that there were factors in our control and factors outside of our control. We can't control the impact that MK had as a political party. I mean, what MK did was unbelievable. It's never been seen before. You've never had a former state president running as their own political party. And I must tell you, if you ask the guys in KZN, I mean, we were looking good in KZN, really good, for a good result. And MK just came in there and wiped everybody out. I mean, in Gauteng, we got around 21% of the vote in Soweto in 2021. And remember, Soweto There are more voters in Soweto than there are in the Northern Cape. It's a big place. And MK came and took about 15% of that, just in this election. So the impact that they've had is massive. And the reason why I'm bringing that up as an example is we can't control everything about an election. We can only control the things that we can control. But I think even there, what I would like to do is to have a discussion with you about those things that we can control, that we didn't do very well in this election, and that we should do better or differently in the next election. Because we can deal with those things. We can improve ourselves. And we must never use the excuse of things like MK to say that we were perfect. We weren't perfect. We were far from it. And we need to be better as we move forward. But also a local government election is run locally. So I can run a national provincial election from a central headquarters. And the provinces can do the same. But when we contest a local government election, you are going to be running the election here, not me. And that is why it's hugely important that we have this understanding about how we're going to do this and how we're going to do it better, because you will be in charge of making sure that that happens in this next election. By way of a couple of other thoughts, this multi-party charter was definitely a massive disappointment to us. A massive disappointment. Because when we entered into that multi-party charter, we did so in good faith. Our coalition partners signed a piece of paper in front of the South African people and said, we will not go into coalition with the ANC. I mean, you can see what's happened since then. I mean, these guys were planning this for years, I can tell you that now. And what's particularly disappointing is they used it to de-campaign their partners. And basically what they said to voters is, don't waste your time voting for him, he's going to work with us anyway, just vote for me. In the one side, and that hurt us in the Freedom Front Plus. And on the other side, our working with the DA was toxic to many voters who don't trust the DA still. So this was a hugely disappointing exercise, but the one thing that we have looked at as a party is, despite all of the things that we have learned from this process, at the time it was the right thing to do. If you think back to August last year, MK wasn't in existence. That group of parties had a real chance of getting into the 40s in terms of support, and the possibility of setting up government was there. It was possible. And South Africans needed parties of a like mind to work together. So the fact that these guys have gone and betrayed the South African people, not us, by the way, and the parties don't owe each other anything. They owe their loyalty to the South African people, is something that they're going to have to deal with in the near future. The next thing that we must talk about is the kind of vote splitting. I don't know whether this took place in your area. You must talk when we discuss this. But what we saw a lot, particularly in the cities, is people would give the national ballot to this party, the regional ballot to this party, and the provincial ballot to that party. Which is very difficult, because before, you would benefit from 3 votes from 1 voter. Now, you're getting a third of that. And particularly in a local government where you add those votes together to determine representation, that's going to be a challenge going forward. I'd like to hear from you as to the extent to which that was taking place. But then the final thing I wanted to share with you, because I think it's good for you to know the national thinking in this regard, even if it's not a provincial dynamic in your province. But the fact that this grand coalition has been pulled together with the ANC is something that we must understand, and we must position ourselves correctly in relation to it. The first thing I want to tell you is we are very happy about the decision we've taken not to join that government of national unity. We don't call it a government of national unity, it's not. It's a grand coalition between the ANC and the DA. And if you doubt me, read that coalition agreement, because what it says is, for decision making, 60% of the parties in Parliament must agree for a decision to be valid. The only way you get to 60% between those parties is ANC and DA. So that's all it is. And all these other parties are joining, not to be part of a government of national unity, but because they all want positions. All of these parties would never come anywhere near being in government if it wasn't for the particular circumstances of this election. And they're all running because they want their blue lights, and they want their German sedans, and they want their mansions, and they want to live the high life, courtesy of the South African taxpayer. And we're very pleased not to be a part of that. The other reason why we say that is because I can tell you this right now, and I do this exercise with everyone, and I'm going to ask you to bear with me. Close your eyes. Bear with me. Close your eyes. 4.5 years from now, it is, let's call it April 2029. We are a month away from the 2029 national and provincial elections. Has this government reduced unemployment? Has crime gotten better? Are criminals going to jail? Has corruption been fought? You can open your eyes. Then you can see exactly why we've taken the posture that we have. Because I can tell you right now, whatever positive sentiment exists right now for political parties working together, that positive sentiment is going to go away very quickly when South Africa realizes that they've traded one failed government for another. And our positioning in relation to that is going to be very, very important. The last thing I'm going to share with you is this. We are now in a scenario where we have a local government election coming up in 2 years' time. And local government is the biggest area of failure in our country. What this election showed us is that South Africans like us more locally than they do nationally. The votes that Action SA got on the provincial ballot was more than the regional and the national ballot across the country. And I think a lot of people who might not see Action SA to be players at a national level will apply their mind to voting for us at a local government, which is important as we approach this 2026 election. Also want to say that local government is a very different creature from national government. In a national election, people are voting along the lines of identity. You saw that in this election. You know, the coloured voters voted with Gates and McKenzie. The Zulu-speaking voters rallied behind MK. A lot of the white South Africans went back to the DA. You know what I'm saying? It was very much an identity election. Local government is not like that. Local government is about the bread and the butter and the service delivery basics of a municipality. And if you put a capable candidate in front of voters who's worked between the elections on the service delivery issues that impact them, they will vote for that candidate. And that's the challenge I want to issue you with, is that the very best way to do well in 2026 is to come up with a plan where you could put candidates in wards that communities look to and say, this is the way we need to go. And I think that too might be something helpful to reflect on. But I promised gentlemen there when we started talking that this wasn't going to be a speech, and it's not. I'm going to stop now. I wanted you to have that context before we engage. But now what we want to do is we want to hear from you. We would like you to tell us what you think didn't go well in this election, what you think we should do differently ahead of 2026, and where you think the opportunities lie for us in a local government election context in the Free State in 2026. Because one of the things that we're going to look to is to say that perhaps we shouldn't contest every municipality in the local government elections now in 2 years' time. If you look at this election result now, some of those places in the rural Eastern Cape and KZN, it wasn't worth contesting. And the reason why I say that is because you've got to spread resources around the country. If you reduce the amount of municipalities you contest, you can put more resources into those places. And you can make sure that the campaign is more effective. And that too becomes something that's going to be worth listening to you about and engaging over in terms of where you think the potential is highest. I'd also like to hear from you, so if you don't mind. You know, you spoke about the 5% that you got in your area, and I think about 1.7% you said across the municipality. What did you do well? In other words, where we did well, why did we do well? Because those areas become an example for everybody to understand. Because even if communities and languages differ, politics still remains the same. In that we're talking about engaging people, putting forward a message, and winning their support. So I'd be very keen to hear from all of you. But I'm going to stop now, and my job is going to be to take notes so that I can make sure that your views are very well recorded for the party going forward.
I want to such that the people, if they've got any problem, they announce it on the WhatsApp group, and then he looks after that problem, and he solves it. Yes, he had, I think, about 800 people on that WhatsApp group, but only about 172 voted. We wanted to take the non-actioners off that group, but we have decided to leave them on it. After the election, I don't know, about 50, because he really got upset when out of 800 to 172 voted for him. He got upset on that group. And then about 50, I would say, left. But the rest stayed. So what we said to each other, leave it like that, because the guys will vote for you in 2 years' time, because they will feel guilty. So, in the black community, we've got a problem with the WhatsApp group. They don't use it to communicate. They only use it between family members. They are not like the white community using it for everything, for jokes, for everything. So I don't know how to get to the black community. How do you really communicate in the black community? The only way we did it is by traveling with speakers and getting the guys together and dancing and t-shirts. And we even gave out, I would say, about 1,200 packages of seeds, spinach and kale and cabbage for the people to just give something for them to plant and to get them together. But the problem is communication with the black community, to get them to listen.
You're going to see voters get behind us a lot more in a 2026 context, in a local government particularly. I also want to say, by the way, the subject of WhatsApp groups is interesting. And it's something we're going to need to understand more as a party. Do you know when it comes to MK campaigned on WhatsApp groups. I don't know if you know this. I mean, maybe you don't. Unless you're from KZN, you might not. But they created WhatsApp groups with thousands of people on it. And they were campaigning all the time. It's something that we need to learn as a party, the power of these things and how we must use them. So definitely making a note of that as well. Thank you. Was there a hand up here?
All the people that is registered, and we must keep them sending stuff from Actionism.
Yeah.
Doesn't worry if we get any feedback, we just keep on sending.
Correct. Yeah. Some people will fall away. But you must always understand, in any election, you're never going after 100% of people. There's some people that whose votes you're never going to win. And when those people swear at you and they leave and they do what, that's fine. You were never going to win their support no matter what. You could build them a home and they wouldn't give you their vote. What you're looking for is the people who stay, and the people who listen, and the people who engage. That's the market of people we want to focus on.
I think also, what you have identified is very important. Just like you would approach marketing from a business perspective, you have different markets also when it comes to politics, in terms of how do you approach a market, your messaging. One goes a market as compared to another. So our approach has to be a multi-faceted approach. What works in your white or Indian or colored communities will not necessarily work in your more black community, but there may be things that works and resonates in your black community that works in your colored and Indian communities, and also in certain areas within your previously white communities. So we have to look at doing a multiplicity of things, because it can't just be one thing that suits both markets. And having been in politics for ages, I think one thing that we must never forget is that to a large extent, this was the first introduction of Action SA to many of the communities that you had approached. And I was sharing with Michael as you were talking, I was saying if there was one particular constituency or region in the Free State that was really active, it was your group. Because I'd watch you all the time. I'm on your group, I don't know if you're aware of this, as you were campaigning and doing your thing. And I was saying that your approach in your more black communities was definitely what is needed. It's the loudhailers, it is the street meetings, it is the door-to-doors, it is meeting with those influences in those communities. So now we need to continue with what we were doing there. Don't also for one moment believe that by coming in there and having spent money in terms of your time touristing and this mere, that has been an exercise in futility. Net daai saad wat julle gegee het, het ons nou saad geplant. And we must just make sure that we look after that so that we are able to harvest in 2 years' time. But it's a begin. It is a beginning. It is a start from where we are. And if you look at the politics dynamics, as Michael was saying, with an Action SA coming into the fray, don't for one moment believe that we didn't have influence on getting people to go out and vote. Those that did go out, it was 56% vote as compared to 54% vote now, as your past election was less than 50%, the 2019 election. So there was an enthusiasm to get people to think differently. The thing is though, that election is 2 years from now, and we need to continue to be on the ground to make things happen. We also sometimes want to compete against the ANC and the EFF that comes with their food parcels, etc. Our people are no longer that silly to believe that because you're going to give them food parcels, they're going to vote for you. The ANC is going to come out. You can't outdo the ANC. You can't out-ANC the ANC or out-EFF the EFF. We need to be authentic in who we are and what we are about, because we are different. And our approach should be about where we can help you to start food gardens, which is something that I believe in. I will come out and help you to establish food gardens, but I'm not going to come out and clean your community that you have dirty. That cleanup things I don't believe in. And I may some out there for also. But if you're going to help them and you're going to go together in terms of providing for people in a way that we plant seeds so that they're able to be teaching them to fish instead of fishing, giving them, supplying them with fish. That is an approach that I believe in absolutely and completely. But we need to start identifying people in those communities that we are able, that are influencers, and we need to be part of those communities moving forward. I like what you are doing in terms of your WhatsApp group, and you are following up on the issue. Because many people have asked you the question, what are you doing for me? You're coming here and you're telling me about how great you can be, but I haven't really tasted what you have done, what the difference you have made in my life. But if I'm able to, through that WhatsApp groups and so on, take up issues, and that's where we need to be driving issues in those communities. Be it a matter of a creche that is unregistered, be it the issue of high crime and so on, when we get involved in helping the community, broader community, by becoming part of that broader community. That is how we entrench ourselves and become part of, because we knew. And we need to, as I said, to be able to gain that confidence and that support. There has to be a matter of these are of our own, and we can make a difference.
Previously, we had a problem with the smarty power. Different areas put off, they did get a color coded red, green, blue, yellow. Now the court they went to court and then they lost the case. The Smarty Power isn't allowed. But now they sugar-coated it. It is now called load reduction. So they still put off our power in Parys. That's when I said to the people, I am going to get Action SA involved in this matter. We need to take action against this municipality. This municipality in Guate is untouchable. They are untouchable, guys. And we don't need that in Parys anymore. I told the people in Parys, me as an actioner, I'm going to go provincial, then I'm going to go national with this problem. We need to take action against this Guate municipality that is so corrupt, and the money laundering, and the money is going away. The money is sent back to the treasurer, 42 million, not allocated. So yeah, I think the biggest step we can do in the Free State in Parys is to tackle this Nguate with this load reduction and the water problem. We get water, then we don't get water. And we don't get our water from Rand Water, we got our own waterworks. It's the municipality that is so against, I don't know why they're doing this. But if they want to take away the water, they can take it away. If they want to take the electricity away, they do it as they wish. I thank you.
What can they do to help us with what he mentioned, the Smarty Power? It means that we need a bigger transformer. Eskom has put in a smaller transformer because the one broke down, and they never put back the bigger one. They used it in other municipalities. So we've got Smarty Power. We've got water. The whole Nguate water is not drinkable. Corruption with I started it, but it will cost a lot of money. The tankers, because the water is not drinkable, they has got the tankers under correction. It is the municipality mayor's husband owning one, and the workers in the municipality owing one, and they get massive money to bring drinking water to all the community of Nguate. That means Koppies, Vredefort, Parys, undrinkable, all the water in it. So those three things, what can we, the help from your side to tackle that? Will you look into that?
If we are going to contest the municipality in 2026, we would like to identify a couple of issues that we want to drive for the people who live in that municipality. There's often a mistake made, particularly at a local government level, that you go around campaigning just on the color of our shirts or the smile on our faces or whatever, where actually the things that win votes are driving issues that matter to people. And there's no issues better than water and electricity, because those are the things that touch people's lives every single day. The good news about this kind of thing is that our constitution gives people the rights to clean drinking water and to electricity. Those are both constitutional rights. And where we have a municipality that is failing so fundamentally to uphold those rights, we can approach the courts. And if you're clever about it, you approach the courts in such a way where you enlist the provincial government as a respondent in the issue. Because nothing you do is going to make this municipality capable of doing these things. Clearly it's not capable. The problems you're describing sound like they've been around a long time. They're not going to go away with the people who are currently employed here. But when you say to the courts, we want you to force the provincial government to place this under administration and to put in place a professional administrator, now we start to get somewhere. But the reason why I'm raising this is whether or not that results in water being delivered or electricity being fixed in the short term, probably not. But what it does is a very big public battle that we fight for the residents here in the courts. And when you win that kind of battle, the results from an electoral point of view are very strong. People will rally behind you because we fought this fight for them. Now, the good news here is when it comes to this kind of issue, if you approach any court in South Africa and you show that there's a failure to provide electricity and water as constitutional rights, and that failure is a product of government failure, in other words, of government not doing what it should do, the court's always going to find in your favor, there's no question. The only time the court won't find in your favor is if government can prove that there's never been these services and they haven't got the funds yet to do it. But that's not what's happened here. This place used to have electricity and water, and it doesn't anymore. And that's why the courts will always find with us. So that becomes a very strong option that we can take forward. And what's nice about a court battle like that, if this is the way we go, is it takes, gosh, I don't know, a long time to get into court. But actually that's where the solution lies, because in the year it takes to get into court, there are legal milestones along that journey that we can use to campaign with and to make issues of and to drive in the community. We are in court next month in August in eThekwini municipality in Durban. I don't know if you know this, but eThekwini municipality has a sewage crisis like the Free State. The beaches have been closed for years. To show you how bad it is, eThekwini used to get 7.9 million tourists a year. It now has 700,000 tourists a year. And you can imagine the hotels, the restaurants, the B&Bs gone. So we're in court next month on that very issue. And it's an opportunity for us to use that model across the country. And we could definitely look at that here. But guys, if I can ask you, I want to get your views on this campaign. And maybe I should ask people to show a hand if they would like to engage, because I don't want to miss the opportunity to hear from you about what you think didn't go well in this campaign and what you think we should be doing differently ahead of the local government election in 2026.
The voting station. And a guy comes to me. He showed me his ID book. He tells me, "Are you going to vote for ANC?" I say, "I already vote." I say, "Yes." He said, "You're coming now, you're going to Meyerton now. Can I vote also there with other ID book?" He's not scared to tell me that. He said, "I just voting for ANC, nothing else." He got 2 ID books. How many people doing like that?
No, it's a massive concern. And I can tell you, our team in Parliament, and it's good that we have a team in Parliament now, by the way, we can raise these issues in Parliament, including, by the way, issues like municipal failure, the likes of which you're describing. And we put it on the national stage. But one of the things that we are convinced about is we need to call for a commission of inquiry into the IEC's ability to run elections. Because there's no question this election was the worst we've ever had, and they seem to be getting worse with each election. It's a problem. The election campaign, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the problem that I think we faced with this election was, I think, Andre, you was with me one day, they said, "Yeah, Action SA, it's ACT." They asked us, "Is this ACT?" So they were, I would say that we wasn't known out there so much. Here in the Free State, I can say that. Because the people ask us, "Are you from ACT then?"
No, the act and the action is too close to each other. We in Beaumont also had a big fight because of ACT. We're in a worse position than the rest of the Free State with this Makachulu that is staying in Parys.
I was laughing in the results center. I watched them do an interview with him on TV. They said the reason they did so bad is all their people voted for Action SA. It was about elections.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm born and bred in Tumahule, by the way. I think, but for Tumahule it's fine. But I work at Provincial, which is fine. I don't have a problem with. The thing is, whether we like it or not, our leadership somehow, should I use the word, they have failed us in a sense that you were not visible enough. People did not know who Action SA was. I was a party agent. During that time, even the, what do you call the person who is busy with the station, the VD? Presiding officer. She even said to me, King, what is Action SA? I felt offended actually, because it's like, should I teach her what is Action SA? But somehow I said, it is maybe us as the Action SA. Our leaders, our leadership, you don't come down here. We needed you so badly at ground level. The other thing is the most province that actually benefited was Gauteng. Gauteng is not South Africa, it's part of South Africa. We all need our leadership, and I'm very happy that the two of you are here. You are engaging with us, the people on the ground level. We need to know what's happening. We need to, information should be transparent enough for us to know. I shouldn't be asking this when I don't know when is what, how it's done. You understand? Things should be transparent enough for us to trust our leaders, because if we are not visible to people, they will never vote for us. They don't know who Action SA is. And as I was listening to Mr. Beaumont, you said, when you were running the municipality election somewhere in Devon, it was not so fruitful. You know what? We can take this opportunity. Even if we know, like the by-elections, if we can get into this, we don't know. We might win a seat or two. We don't know. What if we win it? By the time we come to 2026 elections, we already have made a mark. We are in there. You understand? We don't know. And I like the way Dade Dikok, I've seen you in the group with this whole problem of water. You've done it. I think we can use that one as our stronghold to actually say, this is our problem. You understand? To run with that one. Thank you.
I think our main problem was that the head office, should I say, you guys were focusing mainly on the metro, forgetting that there are still us down here in the rural villages. Action SA is so absent in the rural villages that it's so saddening. And again, we need strong provincial leaders. Our leaders, to be quite honest with you, they are not the people's people. We don't have communication like platform that is open with our leaders. And one other thing is that that I have observed is that you guys are taking unilateral decisions without coming back to our people that are on the ground. We are the ones that are on the ground. We are the ones that see what is happening here. So it would be best if you take the decision after contacting us on the ground of what is happening. And the other thing that I've realized is that there were branches that were launched. But the branches were not fully funded. There were no resources for branches. It came to a point where me and my team, as you can realize, that we don't have the t-shirts. It came to a point that we will take out our own t-shirts and give the people. And that on itself, it gives the people bad image about us. And another thing that I've observed with our president is that our president was not visible enough. Remember who started Action SA and what is Action SA? Mr. Herman Mashava is Mr. Action. Is Mr. Do It. But now of late, before the elections, we couldn't see him. We didn't even know where is the president. And there are some things that were being discussed behind the walls that we are not even aware of. Even our policies. Like we're only focusing on this border policy, forgetting that if you come to me and then you tell me about the border policy, okay, my president is focusing on this border policy, what is he going to offer me? I still have challenges. I still have things that I want you to solve to me, you know. So there are a lot of things that were not going on well, to be quite honest. And even this the MPC thing, I feel like Action SA wanted to be a DA light, you know. If we wanted to vote for DA, people will go for DA. So that on itself, it was just a horrible idea. I don't know who came up with that, but it was a horrible idea. And that on itself, it brought DA down, in fact.
Thank you. Basically, we have two buckies. The people standing at the back of a bakkie, Andre have his bakkie with a trailer, with water in, with the Action SA sticker on everything. The bakkies have also the Action SA sticker, the green one in the face is on the bakkie. We drive everywhere. Sometimes 8 o'clock at night we come back to our houses. And if somebody tells her, who's the Action SA? Andre, stop. We tell him, what is Action SA? We go through the location through Parys everywhere. Copies. If we can't come there with water, everybody come with water cans. We tap water, and Andre tell her, listen here, that is Action SA. We are also put the people on. Say, listen here, speak to the guys. You know that the language you got, they speak to the language. That's why I say we have stickers on the bakkies, we have posters on the bakkies, we got the loudspeakers, we got the speakers, we write everywhere. Campaign say, listen, Action SA. Then the guys ask, what is Action SA? Some people come and say, listen, that's what Action SA stands for. That's what we do down in Parys.
To address a few of those things, the idea of leadership visibility was raised by yourself and yourself. There's no question we always need more leadership visibility, but the question as to whether one person can provide leadership visibility to a country as big as South Africa is the question that we're dealing with. Because I don't know this as a matter of fact, but was Cyril Ramaphosa here during the campaign? Did he come to Parys? No. But he had leadership of his province and his region and other people who made sure that the ANC was heard and felt and engaging in this campaign. So I'm not necessarily sure that you can always look to one or two people at a national level and expect them to be visible across 4,468 wards and 278 municipalities. But what you're raising is still an issue. The question is, how do we affix it? And yes, you want to have your president on the ground as much as possible, but the job going forward should be building a larger leadership team. One of the things I actually admire about the ANC, and it's important to recognize different parties do different things well and badly, is the ANC has the ability to put 7 leaders in 7 provinces and be on 7 sets of TV coverage that night. It's very effective that way. We need to get there ourselves as an organization. And what that means is, as a province and as a region, we need to be building out our leadership team so that there is more visibility. If you have the experience that you did, where a presiding officer doesn't know who we are, which it's disappointing, but I must tell you, it's across the board. Okay? There are people across this country who went to the election not knowing who we are yet. That is a function of long-term work we need to do as a political party. And name recognition, as you call it, is not going to be solved over. You can't do one thing and then everyone knows who you are. It's very unlikely. What you have to do is engage communities daily. And what I'm seeing across our organization everywhere I'm going is that we have not been able to create branches that become effective in winning more votes. As a matter of fact, when we met after this election and we did an analysis, and I bet you it'll be the same thing here, you have more members than you have voters. Hey? Did you see that? But that can't be. In other words, the way it works is that a member will vote for you, and a member will get 5 or 6 people around them to vote for you. So that you should always have 4 or 5 or 6 times the number of votes as you have members. But one of the things I think we need to introspect about as a party is our focus on membership and branches. To what end? So we have members and we launch a branch, then what? Because clearly what this result is showing and what your experience is showing with that presiding officer is that the branch in that area wasn't effective in getting out there and engaging in campaigns on a daily basis that was able to get our message across to people that they knew who we were. And I'm afraid the example you gave about the water and engaging people is a great way of doing it. The thing is, it's slow and steady, and it's like eating the elephant one person at a time. And what you really need is members of your branch across the board engaging in those activities not necessarily with water because that's very expensive, but just going door to door, talking to voters, and making sure they know who we are. But that's something we definitely have to deal with. The focus on the metros, I think we'll definitely have to take that on board. I can tell you when we go to the metros, they tell us you weren't focused enough on them, so I think everyone feels there wasn't enough focus anywhere. But I do think it's going to be a lot easier if we reduce the amount of places we contest, to have more focus where we are contesting. And I think that's certainly going to go a long way in terms of helping that. But yeah, I think those are some views, and I'd be keen to hear more. Because again, what is important to understand is the things we must do better in the next election so that we can make them part of our plan.
The college, sorry, we were supposed to have started at 9 o'clock according to the program sent to us by Patricia, because you know we've got another place in the Bloemfontein to still go to. So we started an hour almost later. So we're going to need to cut off here by 11 for the latest, and we're going to be 15 minutes late getting to our next appointment. But we don't want to strive for your debate here. It's important. Okay, so if we don't duplicate what other person has said, so just for time, okay?
Right, I think it was told to me 10 o'clock. And I just organized this for 10 o'clock, and I told everybody 10 o'clock.
Sure.
So I don't know where we
I don't know, but you know, we have 15 minutes or so, and I think we could have a full engagement in the next 15 minutes as well. So let's keep going. I'd be keen to get more of your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Mr. Beaumont, thank you very much for your explanation. You know what? When we talk about disability, we talk about support. You are here on national level. Where is the provincial level, if I may ask? You understand? No. This is what I'm trying to say. Because if we have support from leadership as it comes down, because I think as we are seated here, we should have provincial support by now, but we don't see it. Because what is support? You interact with your people, you get to know them, you get to listen to what their challenges are, and we don't see that. When what is actually prohibiting us from interacting with our leadership? We don't expect Mr. Hammond to be everywhere at the same time. But once in a while, just to go there, to those people who are down there, you know, once, oh yes, he was there, he was at Parys, he was at Copies, he cannot be everywhere. But now, I just want to say now, where is the provincial support now? We don't see it. It's only at national level.
This generally is an important topic. I mean, are you saying that you don't feel that there are people in your provincial structures that are engaging you, giving you a clear sense of what needs to be done and support?
Like now.
Yes.
Can I just correct what's happening right now? Because I planned it. I said to Patricia, you don't need to be traveling all the way from Bloemfontein to get here for us to go back to Bloemfontein. Stay where you are, arrange, because you are leaders. And I want to meet with leaders here. Because sometimes we need to take responsibility for being leaders where we live. We make a difference where we live. Okay, but your plea for at least a visit every now and again from national leadership so that you feel, not just know, but feel that you are important to the organization, that is taken on board. And maybe I neglected coming here, but the country is wide. Resources is another thing. You know, we a new party, we ran on a very, very tiny budget, and thank you for putting your money where your mouth is. This is where you live and you want to make a difference. So we invested in it, and I believe that we're going to see the results there in 2026. Maybe we will not have seen it now, but please can you just remember that aspect of things too, my sister.
Okay, morning. You know what, we've got only one problem in Mitsmaholo. Mitsmaholo is a big municipality, but there's no resources. Even we struggle to get even a tablecloth, even one gazebo. So how go to do the job then? Without one gazebo or even a tablecloth. Please, I will be happy if the party can provide 1 tablecloth and 1 gazebo for Ms. Mahul, please. It's a big municipality. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, Michael, to Andre and Bix, what they do. Bix is dedicated, looking on the WhatsApp groups, the other ward councillors, they don't do nothing. Now the majority on the WhatsApp groups is riding on Bix. Any little problem they run to Bix, which is a good thing. But like I said, the majority is riding on Action SA's group. And well, to go forward, I suppose we just got to campaign and extra flyers into the locations. And it's very sad to see, like I said, the number that we've got on our group that is not here today. And Bix told them, be here today, you know, come and support, raise your questions and demands. And it's very sad to see that. But as a group, I'm sure we can move forward, and well, we just got to, there's no other option. Yeah. And then another question I'd like to ask Michael is, when Action SA came here the very first time, when they laid a charge against the waterworks, at the police station, is that still pending, or what's happening about that? You know, the court cases to take it, you know, with the waterworks. And then, yeah, I mean, even yesterday, I mean, the water in the taps was stinking like fish. You know, so, I mean, there's a lot of people, the water smells like fish.
AfriForum is busy with it. I'm busy with the court case with that, yeah.
Is it?
And I'm working together with, not together, but all the information I've got, like pics of the water and videos of the water, I sent to AfriForum to show them, because they are, like yesterday, they were busy with the court case. And I will show you here quickly, just.
While you're doing that, let me just take the...
Chairperson, I actually have a number of issues that I would like to address, but since some issues are already touched, I'll just brush through them. And like, for instance, the issue of the resources that one actioner complained about. The problem is either we would not have resources, or resources would arrive late. That's one of the things that actually disturbed us big time. And so if we could ensure that we receive resources in time, please, that would help. One spoke about 1 gazebo. If you really have 1 gazebo in a municipality, and you have to be visible in all 36 voting districts at least, that is a problem. We were also told that at least umbrellas would be organized so that at least they must help with visibility, but we could not get those also. So the point I'm trying to talk about is that we really have to invest in elections for success. We can't expect to win elections if we don't invest in elections. And the way we invest is by making it a point that visibility is the issue that we spoke about. I remember even when I attended an interview for the MPL, that when I was asked what is it I think we don't do well as Action SA, or we should do, I mentioned the issue of visibility, because that is really a serious problem, because there's no way people would know us unless we are visible, and there's no way we could be popularize the organization for it to get the support. So those are some of the things that I think we should need to look into. And then just a quick one again is that another problem we experience among the black community is that people are hungry and they are looking for immediate rewards. And when these other parties come and promise them this and that, or deliver, give them some handouts, they feel we should do exactly the same. And if we fail to do the same, they don't want to listen to anything, they don't want to hear anything from our side. And another one, it will be disgruntlement from the very registered members. Some of our members got disgruntled because of, they showed a lack of commitment, because now they didn't see things happening which they expected to see happening. I would not go into details. I'm simply trying to give an indication that once we make a promise, we have to get it fulfilled. And another thing is unnecessary infighting and lack of discipline. That's one thing that has been my experience. I was attending a funeral in Bloemfontein 2 weeks ago, and I met the ambassadors there, and some of the things they complained about is ill discipline within the organization and nothing happening about it. And the use of vulgar language in our WhatsApp groups, That's another thing that actually made me feel like quitting the group, because you cannot be listening to people literally insulting one another in that, and promising to fight literally, physically, and we don't have any form of discipline following. So such things are actually some of the problems that cause problems within the organization. And another last thing I want to mention is communication. Unless we communicate effectively, we are going to have problems. We have to communicate effectively and ensure that people know exactly what they should do. They know when they should act. They know when they should do what. I'm done on the side of that. Other issues you have touched on, I don't want to repeat them because of time. But then there's an issue that Andre raised regarding the issue of by-election. I never heard us entertain it fully. But last time I mentioned it to the province, we were made to understand that there are no resources, and performance was not very well in this work. And as a result, there's no way a by-election could be entertained. Our argument and our feeling is that if we don't use that opportunity, there's no way we will know our strength. We have to use by-election to test our strength in preparation for 2026. So I feel we have to support that. We don't guarantee that we are going to win. We don't know whether we are going to win or not. But I feel if we could converge our efforts as not only the region, but also as a province, come together and fight for that ward, and we win it, it would help us big deal, and it would also help us with recognition from the side of the IEC. Because as it is now, we cannot even be acknowledged or accepted into the MPLC or MLC for now, because we lost elections. They say who will we be representing in there. I was discussing that with the provincial chairperson, who said to me, even them at provincial level, they were kicked out because we did not win even one seat. So I feel let's take advantage of this opportunity. Let's go and contest that seat in Parys here and see if we win it, at least we'll be having representation, and we will also be having some funding necessary that would assist the organization.
Which area is this by-election? You said Ward 27.
Ward 27.
Ward 7. Ward 7, right here in Ward 7. Yes, Ward 7, right here in Ward.
What community is it? Okay.
Thank you very much. Now, Ward 7 is for under Parys and Beaumont. These are for one community and that community.
Who controls the ward? Is it ANC or DA?
Now, with ANC, let me just put this say so. With ANC, in 2021, I was contesting that ward with another party. Then it win by ANC, the whole minister voted for vote. So it's a winnable vote. It's a winnable
What?
It's a very winnable ward because we also implemented so much with anti-debt. And there are also some of the things that we are taking presently now. Like, presently now we released about the storage camps. Actually, this year when we are had this last year in October, we introduced the temporary transit for people, some taps, everything. So people, they go to hopes, but the thing is, most of people, they never vote for Action SA because they never be registered. Now is our time to use that opportunity for them, to show them the importance of them to vote for Action SA for what we did for them for the past, and where their council were left them because they were forgetting those people.
How many votes did you get in 2021?
In 2021. In 2021, when I was contesting, I got, it was consisting of 1,052 votes.
Which party?
Sorry? No, the total. Then the ANC, it win me with about, the ANC got 592, and I got 530 something. They just win me for 4 votes. And the other, I was a DA.
You had 537 with the DA?
Yes. Okay. So it's a winnable vote because even now I'm standing here. Where we are staying here, people from this Parys golf course, about 3 members, they can support us as Action SA because they are behind us. Because the councillor of ANC, they did fail them a lot.
So just that you know, I'm thinking in terms of by-elections, right?
Yes.
I agree with your logic. I think we need to use by-elections to create a story of growth. In other words, people will pay more attention to us if there are news headlines about Action SA growing in the Free State. But we need to be very careful about where we contest, because we can't contest everywhere. It costs too much money. I want to give you an example. In Polokwane, we contested there in Molekchi village, out in the outskirts of Seshego. And the guys got 1%. 1%. Now the problem is you now spent a lot of money to tell people that we're not strong. So there's a process the party's put in place where there's a motivation you must fill into your PEC. I will happily get hold of Patricia and inform her that this should be expected. But please have a look at that, complete that motivation, and we'll take a serious look at it, all right? But we need to be satisfied that we're going to do well.
And just on what I was saying, I need to indicate that one of our downfalls in these past elections is that we recruited a lot of people, but we never checked whether these people were registered to vote or not. So we had a lot of people, even some of them we used them as party agents, but they were not eligible to vote because they had not registered. So one thing I'm going to ask us to do vigorously is to go back to them and actually encourage them to go and register, because there's continuous registration process that takes place within the IEC. So let's encourage our people, our members, and even those who haven't joined the organization yet to go and register, so that when time comes for them to vote, at least they should be able to give us those votes. So unless we do it, then we are actually not getting anywhere. Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, I am Sello from Kronstadt, in the Mtaka municipality.
From Kronstadt?
Yes. I'm with Dr. Marafakos and Mr. Fido here. Listen, Mr. Chairman, Free State is the hub of the ANC. Make no mistake. They received just under 50%. So they have worked tremendously to make sure that the people follow them. So going to the part of going forward, as to how we're going to campaign going forward, comprehensive package to campaign. When you go door to door, you can't just go to door to door and ask for membership. You go to door and ask the occupant of the house, what's the problem? You have any challenges? We have that. We go there and enforce municipality to act. So we have rendered a service in our regalia. Already have a member without asking for one. That is a comprehensive approach to do door to door. So like, again, Mr. Chairman, we mustn't undermine a Free State. It is the hub of the African National Congress. Yeah.
Actually, in this election, the ANC was still very strong in the Free State.
Yes.
Where they lost votes elsewhere, they didn't lose them like that, did elsewhere.
Yeah.
But look, I think the point you're making is a good one, and I think colleagues, we're going to have to start wrapping up, only because we've got to hit the road fairly soon. But I'm also quite confident that we've had a full and fruitful engagement, and we've got a good set of ideas about what it is we need to be doing going forward. But your approach is right. It's about issues. Voters only care about what we can do for them.
Yes.
Now, we're not a party that can go around handing out food parcels and resources like that, because we don't have those kind of resources. But what we can do is find out what are the issues affecting people and take actions on their behalf that they can feel that we're representing them. Almost like what you would like a voter to be doing is standing in the queue on election day and talking to the person next to them in the queue saying, that person from Action SA is not our councillor, but imagine if they were our councillor. You know what I mean? Look how hard they fought for us now. And the more you do that between an election, the better. If you rock up there the week before the election, you know what voters are going to say to you. They're going to say, you're just here for my votes, I haven't seen you, you're just here because it's an election. So we need to really challenge ourselves to make sure we identify the strongest people, can put forward the best candidates, and that we start to change our mindset about what a branch and an activist base is meant for. Because we have many branches that very clearly, according to these election results, show us they didn't do any campaigning. They were doing something, but it wasn't campaigning. And we need to turn that around, because the only way we get to the equation where that presiding officer knows exactly who we are is when Action SA branches are active on the ground. And that's the challenge we need to address. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to the extent that we can't continue, but I'm sure you'll appreciate I also can't make everyone else wait further down the end of our program. But it's a great privilege to go and engage with Action SA members across our country, because the one thing that's very clear to me is how much you love our country and how much you are committed to our organization. And I thank you for that. I thank you for the work that you've done. And you have our commitment that going forward, Action SA is going to redouble its efforts. And a lot of the challenges that you have found very frustrating, we're going to start to be able to do better. Because, for example, up until now, we've never had state resources. Never. But now we start to have some state resources. It's not a lot. You're not going to look at me and say, please, Michael, stop giving us money. We don't know what to do with all of this money, I'm afraid. But what it will mean is that we can put T-shirts on the back of a branch, and that our branch can be branded. We can have gazebos in every municipality, and we can start to do those things to make sure we're getting stronger and stronger all the time. But from my side, thank you. Thank you for the engagement. We've made very careful notes of everything that you guys have said. And I think what you're going to see going forward is a leadership that is responding to these concerns and ensuring that our party is making progress in all of these regards. Will that progress be overnight? And will it be immediately to everyone's satisfaction? Absolutely not. I need to be clear with you. I'm not the kind of person that's going to come and tell you that we're going to do this and do that, and then the next day, gone. What I'm going to say is this is a partnership, and we're going to work together, and we're going to take these concerns, and we're going to make sure that things get better and better all the time. But your commitment to your communities here is going to be mirrored by Action SA's support of your work going forward, all right?
Can I say something? I'm not part of any political group. I think a lot of you know me now, what I try to do in the community. But if I can suggest something, I've only seen Bucks's face sometimes. I've never seen any one of these. And I know for a fact, if you are presenting yourself, you know what, every one of you has got a cell phone. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter what the leadership does and all the money you spend, that doesn't work. People want to see what you do. And if I can suggest something, if you need me, you phone me and I can do that. You know what I've done so far, trying to get this municipality. That's why I'm banned. I'm not allowed in the municipality buildings anymore because of what I do. We're trying to do it. But what I would suggest you guys, don't depend on a leader. For me, a political leader is not a leader, he's a servant. He was chosen there by people, not by, you got to give service. You're not a leader. A leader is somebody that takes lead. And every one of you should take lead. Take your cell phone every day. What you do, take a little thing what you do. People want to see what you do. We've never seen what you do. We've seen the one when you handed out the seeds. Yeah, that's the only things we saw on Parys inligting on Facebook. And I tell you, there's 33,000 people watching that. I know when I'm putting a video on, within an hour's time, we got 1,000 to 2,000 people watching that video. So rather it's not going to cost any money to you. It's going to cost you 2 or 3 cents of data. Taking that video of what you're doing, post it on Facebook and on your WhatsApp groups, but do it on a daily basis. People must see you all the time. If they see you all the time, eventually things will click up. That's all I can say, because I know I'm doing this now for more than 20 years. I know what works, as far as that is concerned. And I think that's why Bucks asked me to come and do this one again this morning, to take something out of the air so that we can put it on. There is something happening in there. That's all I want to say, sir. Maybe that's something you should take or get to you people. Use your cell phones on a daily basis and post it on your local Facebook page or WhatsApp or whatever. Thank you, sir. Thank you. On that note, I was going to conclude with exactly that. You know, the 2026 local government elections is going to be affecting all of us here who want to stand and be candidates in our wards, because it affects us personally. And if I'm any one of you here, if I were you and I have an ambition to be a candidate for the ward and for the PRs, I'd start working in my community right now. And that door-to-door that you were talking about, going and getting people to know who you are and what you are about, is of extreme importance to you to start now over the next 24 months to 30 months to the next election. Invest. People on local government elections vote for people that they know more than anything else. Yes, the party brand, and you say that you lost by 4 votes or whatever it is, DA brand. There's certain areas where you can put a broomstick and you put a t-shirt on it and you make that person the candidate. Because that community votes for that party, they'll vote for it, for that particular candidate. And similarly, you know, in other areas. And on Ward 7, I was just looking at the results now, we actually only got 25 votes in the past election. But let that not be disillusioned like that. So the way forward for us, your colleagues, is for us to be on the ground. Let's not wait for what leadership is going to come and tell us to do. This is our community, dit is ons Parys, dit is ons welkom, dit is ons Kroonstad. Laat ons 'n verskil maak. En nie nog wag vir iemand anders om vir ons te kom aanhits en om vir ons omstoot nie. Dit is ons land, en gaan oor daai kinders se toekoms. Gaan oor hulle toekoms. En dit is waarom ons hier is. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry, sir. I know you said you got told for 10 o'clock. We were told for 9 o'clock, but it's okay. We are here. I'm an hour and 20 minutes drive away from you. I'm going to take you to particular street.
That's bad
I'd like so that you are able to communicate and get you, a little more often. But I'm going to take your contact details, please. Please, who's got the attendance register there? If you can, and then you can just take a photograph of it and just send it to me, please, so that I also have your contact details. On that note, colleagues, we're going to have to wrap up. All right. Thank you so much. We open in prayer. We close in prayer, please.
Just before we round up, I just want to seize this opportunity to thank our delegation from the office for having visited our region. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the leaders as a whole, because we really feel honored by your presence here, and I believe it's going to add some oomph and give additional motivation to us to see that we are really cared for you, we are really concerned about us, you are not taking us for granted. And with these few words, I want to say to you, thank you very much, and have a safe and pleasant trip, friend.
Thank you so much.
Our most kind and loving Father watching here, we want to thank you, Lord, in a special way for this privilege that you have given unto us this morning, that we should converge here as members of Action SA to come and deliberate on what transpired and what we think should be the future of our campaign and the success of this organization. Lord, we want to thank you for having been with us. We felt your presence. The manner in which things went, we really felt that you were in control. Bless each and every one of us and forgive us our trespasses and prepare us for thy soon coming kingdom. For in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Amen.
Right, Action SA had a meeting this morning in Parys. I think it's the national meeting discussing the way forward, and it was very, very positive, and I hope things will change here in Parys very soon with this group of people. Thank you, guys. Right, dankie.